I had my first major psychic experience in Manchester over 20 years ago, and it completely blew my mind. And in today's video, I want to tell you all about it. Now, back in those days, we didn't have Google Maps on our phones, so when you came somewhere, you sort of needed to know where you're going. And I didn't know Manchester, but I knew that I wanted to apply for a job with the RAF. But I was actually torn between whether I should apply for it or whether I shouldn't. So the plan of the day was to get the train to Manchester, walk around aimlessly, and if I found the careers centre, I was to go in and get the ball rolling. And if I didn't, it wasn't meant to be, and I'd go and I'd figure out something else to do with my life. So here's how it went. So I set off from the train station and I walked straight into town, which is what's called Piccadilly Gardens, but I didn't know that at the time. And when I got to Piccadilly Gardens, where Primark is now, that was actually a TK Maxx. And I actually had one of the best phones on the market at the time. I'd saved up my money for it, and it was the first colour camera phone. So it's the first phone to have a camera in it that took photos in colour. And what I liked about it best, although it didn't have things like Google Maps and all your apps on it, it did have a radio on it. So I could listen to Radio 1 whilst I was walking about. And what I did is when I came to Piccadilly Gardens is I put my hands out in front of me and I felt to see which way I was being pulled. And I was getting a definite pull on my left hand. So I went left. And when I got to St. Peter's Square, I started to feel like I wasn't going in the right way. So I put my hands out again and tried to see where I was being pulled. And again, I was getting a strong pull on my left hand. So I went left again. Now, a lot has changed in Manchester over the last 20 odd years. And I'm pretty sure I got to here where Wetherspoons is at the corner of Portland Street. And I got that same feeling that I wasn't going the right way. So I put my hands out again. And again, I was getting a strong pull to my left. So I turned left. Now, I am aware at this point I've gone round in a circle, or I was going back towards the station. But it was a nice day, the sun was out, I had my tunes on, and I was just going with the flow. If I saw the office, I went in. If I didn't, I went and did something else. And then just as I was walking, I heard this massive voice, which felt like it was coming from the centre of my head, with loads of emotion, proclaim, "Stop." And I just froze and I was shocked, and I took my headphones out. I had a look around. Even though I was sure it came from within my head, I really felt it like vibrating, and I felt all this rush of emotion through me. I still had a look around because I wanted to see if anyone else had heard it, but people were just walking and minding their own business. And then the voice of reason kicked in. I was like, yeah, I'm going back on myself, really. This is a bit daft. I shouldn't really be doing this. I just spotted a Starbucks. They were quite new. We didn't have one back at home. So I thought, why don't I go and get myself a Starbucks and sit inside and do a bit of people watching and come up with a plan. And just as I started to walk towards Starbucks, I looked around, and I think this building's new because I'm pretty sure it was in that location. I had a look round and I was stood right outside the RAF Careers Centre. And it took me a good minute to sort of get my composure, because I was like, this worked better than I expected it to. I kind of expected it to just be walking around. And I'd done things like this before and never really got any results. But here I was, pretty much like 30, 40 minutes into my trip, maybe less. And my own internal sat-nav inside my head had directed me exactly where I needed to go. Now, to be honest, there's a lot more to this story, which involved the recruitment process and also why I didn't eventually continue and go and get the job. There's a lot that happened after applying that I'm not sure I can talk about. I probably still will. I'll probably make a video about it, but maybe that's for a later date. But that, to this day, was probably the craziest experience that's ever happened to me in my life. And I want to know, have you had anything similar that you just can't explain? Maybe you felt daft about talking about it until you saw this video. I don't care anymore. I'm in my 40s. I don't care what people think about me. But it's a story that I've wanted to share for over 20 years. And I've got loads more. So if you like things like this, give me a follow.